All right, welcome here to the Ridealong channel for something completely different to what you've seen anywhere on this channel before. Basically, this is going to be a half-hour, 45-minute discussion or so with my buddy Sam, who you're going to see in just a second. And this is kind of a little intro to a whole thing that I'm going to be doing throughout summer 2024. So this has been recorded at the end of winter, start of spring 2024. This summer, I've got a whole podcast starting with Starboard, where I'm going to be chatting through loads of different people in the water sports and outdoor pursuits and outdoor adventure education style industry, which is exactly where Sam just kind of popped in at exactly the right time. Sam, in a moment, he's midway through his degree in outdoor adventure education. And what he's doing right now is writing a dissertation on adventure sports coaches' beliefs towards developing life skills in their practice. And that's basically the discussion we're about to have is, should we, shouldn't we? How do we develop life skills with our students and our pupils and our people amongst our practice as we go through sports? That's about what's going to be happening. So stick with me for the next half hour, 45 minutes or so, and hopefully this is nice and interesting. And don't forget, if you haven't already, whack that little subscribe button down at the bottom. But most importantly, this is new for today. Hit me up in the comments and let me know what's going on. And stay tuned for the whole of this summer, where there's going to be loads of podcasts coming on. Right, here we go.
Yeah, like you just said, my degree's in outdoor adventure education. So yeah, what I'm really interested in is sort of experience as adventure sports coaches and their beliefs towards life skills. And like sort of the research behind it so far has been all focused on traditional sports. And there's a big difference between the traditional sport environment and the adventure sport environment. So super interested to get the coach's insight into what they believe and see if it's different and sort of compare the two. So sort of like the first question I guess I've got is like, what is your background? You know, how did you come into adventure sports? What are your qualifications, and sort of how long have you've been doing it for?
Yeah, what are my credentials and why should people listen to me?
Yeah.
So I guess this is now nearly 20 years, guessing by my age. I started when I was 17, doing basically the course before the one you're doing just now. So I did a national diploma in outdoor sports and travel and tourism. And as part of that, we started doing similar stuff to this, you know, just getting ready to enter the industry and learn about how to teach, how to coach, and what it's all about. So that was my college degree. It's not a degree, but, you know, college studies, which led me straight into travel and tourism and outdoor sports. So I worked at a center called, well, it was kind of PGL. It was 3D to start with. It became PGL, teaching land-based multi-activity adventure sports. So climbing, abseiling, mountain biking. I want to say like survival skills, but that makes it sound a bit extreme. That was what the session was called, but it was like camping-based, fire starting and making little tent skills. High ropes courses, lots of rope-based stuff was quite cool, like zip wires and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was my first summer, which kind of gave me the insight into the industry and realized, like, actually, this is pretty good fun. Like, what happens next? Summer ended and I rolled into the winter. I could already ski a little bit, but I'd never been on snow, but I started snow skiing. So winter season kind of rolled through. Summer, winter seasons kind of carried on. And along the way, I started picking up various different qualifications and interests in more and more sports. Like when I started the summers, I hadn't windsurfed, I hadn't sailed, I hadn't really done much water sports. A little bit as a kid and a little bit at college, but that was where I started to discover what water sports, what windsurfing is. And that was where we met, of course, 18 so years later was through windsurfing. Now I'm a windsurf trainer for the RYA, so I teach the instructors how to be instructors. And I do that at a number of different schools. I kind of freelance around the place and help out where people need those trainers to step in. For skiing and snow sports, I'm now as highly qualified as I can get for snow sports. Based out here, like I am right now, actually in the French Alps, teaching skiing and snowboarding full-time, spending as much time off the piste as I possibly can, but actually teaching a huge range of adults, kids, skiing, snowboarding, on and off piste, everything.
Nice.
Those are my main two sports now, windsurfing and snow sports, are those two sports in the winter. But then through the summer, I do as many other sports as I can. And I've taught loads of other sports through summer seasons and helping out in various different things and gaining this experience.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, it sounds like you've got a good range, not only in sports, but in the people you teach. Because I think a lot of the industry, they sort of either teach kids or adults. It's like, it's good that you teach all like across a full range.
Yeah.
If you had to choose a favorite sport, there is a right answer between windsurfing and skiing, but which one would it be?
Saying you, obviously, I've got to say windsurfing because that's what you want me to say. But I like the change. I like the fact that it changes with the season. Like summer is water sports, and I'm on a beach, and I can't imagine as much as amazing as it is UK water sports in the winter. I can't imagine sticking on a 5 mil wetsuit and getting stuck into a storm. As exciting as it would be, I'd rather get on all my ski gear in a storm and go skiing or snowboarding.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair enough.
Yeah, you've just started trying snowboarding. You told me yesterday, so yeah, you can see the hook from now already.
Oh, 100%, yeah. So sort of delving into like your coaching more, what would you say as a coach are your core beliefs as a coach? So almost like your philosophy towards coaching. So sort of what
getting
in yourself also, yeah, I know, straight into it, but also like what when you're training, what do you look for in like a good instructor / coach? But we'll start off with your own sort of beliefs around it and what you think makes you a good coach.
I think I guess I can answer this a few ways, because I want to say that people learn when they're enjoying it. And it's the same whether it's adults or kids. As long as they're having a bit of fun, then you can coach them. And that's the same even if you get to higher level, performance-based, whatever the sport is, as long as they're enjoying it, then it can be quite good fun. As soon as the stress takes over, which is, again, diving deep straight into psychology, as soon as you're stressed out about something, are you really performing at your best? And that could be like a stressful environment, or it could be the coaches putting stress on the students. Like, we do windsurf or we do snow sports in stressful environments, whether it's steep or windy or deep water or whatever it is, or just big waves, like it's stress. But can we keep it fun and keep the student?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the key differences maybe between the traditional sports and sort of the adventure sports coach is the adventure sports coach sort of the stresses are completely different in terms of, like, yes, they've got stress and competition and sort of like it's always external stresses, I feel like. But then when you're on the mountain or in an extreme environment, it can suddenly go from like you're having a great time to like in an instant you're like sort of in the drink, so to speak.
Yeah, big time. Like through school, I played a lot of pretty high level hockey and quite a lot of football as well. That environment doesn't change. It's just like you say, like the stress that we've got on ourselves. What is this competition or what we're trying to win? But yeah, like big waves, deep water, steep mountains, hot, cold conditions that are so drastically different, massively affects the way people learn.
Yeah. So then going back to your beliefs, so like one of the main things, I guess, that you could build like your core as a coach would be having fun. I think, yeah, that's obviously so important, especially as I think adventure sports, you're doing it. The main reason most people do it is for personal satisfaction, is to have fun. Do you think that then has an effect on, if someone comes to you and says, my aim for the season is to get down a ski run in a certain amount of time, would you then change your way you coach them slightly, or would you still like have fun as being like one of the main?
Which is kind of, it does kind of link into the other thing I was thinking is like, they learn best when they're having fun, when they're relaxed, when they're enjoying it. But then what are they learning for? Are they learning for a competition and to perform at a high level? In which case, yes, we need to keep it fun, might not be the right word, but at least relax and the right environment for them to learn in socially, and the interaction between the coach and the student. So like, why are they learning? And this is where a good coach steps in, is focusing on why that person is getting stuck into that sport. But then also how they learn best. The team we had summer just gone, we had an amazing team. Everyone clicked together really well, but amongst the team and any sport, everyone learns in a different way. So you need to kind of register how that person's going to learn best. Like, sure, it might be through a bit of fun, but they might get to the point where they don't want to have fun. They need a moment of you just being completely sincere and actually being quite strict, and possibly even like, actually, I learn pretty well if you are blunt and direct and telling me exactly what's going wrong.
Yeah.
And I can go and get stuck in and improve it from there. So registering the way that those students will learn is quite a good, it's a key skill, I guess, for the coach, is how is this person learn?
Yeah, actually, that sort of links nicely then into sort of looking at life skills. And one of the key life skills that has been highlighted in the research is that interpersonal skills, be able to create a really positive relationship between you and who you're coaching. When you are coaching people, like when you're on the piece and you're teaching someone how to ski, is the main in your mind? Are you thinking this is you're coaching them for like a deeper level in terms of like you're going to try and actively, teach them interpersonal skills, or are you just there to be like, look, they're here for the day, they're here to have fun, let's improve their skiing? Or on every session, are you thinking, can I shape the session in a way that, yes, they improve skiing, but also that they maybe learn something new about themselves in the process? Do you actively take that decision, or is it more you sort of let the skiing or the windsurfing talk for itself?
I don't think it's the skill that talks for itself. I think it's the student and like reading the room that will tell me what sort of coaching and what they're there for. It does kind of link back to like, what are you here for? If it feels like it's the right time to start teaching them some simple skills, whether it's life skills or interpersonal skills, or actually a lot of time with windsurfing and with skiing and other sports as well, it's just these little tricks that will make life easier. Be that the snow life or the water sports life, like someone's carrying their kit wrong. That's not really an interpersonal way of teaching them, but actually like it is going to make their windsurfing better if they learn how to carry their kit or leave their kit, or store the kit or rig the kit. And it's exactly the same with snow sports. When I realize that something's going on, I don't know, for example, it's a rainy day, it's a wet day, it's a snowy day, and I see someone about to take their goggles off, I'll stop them really quick. Hold on. Like a simple example is as soon as your helmet is wet and you put your goggles up, your goggles are going to steam up instantly. The day is finished. You're going to have a shocking time. But beginners or even pretty experienced skiers still go, oh, I can't see anything. They try and take the goggles off, and then they've ruined the day. So it's not, it is life skills, and that's kind of what we're talking about, but it's life skills within the sport we're trying to talk about.
Yeah, I guess that's quite a good way of putting it, actually. Like picking up on little skills that will help you down the line, and life I guess in seeing, a little tips.
I can learn you on wetsuit storage and how to dry a good wetsuit, because I don't use them enough in the summer to really know much about it. But you've probably got some tricks about your drying room or your laundry room back at home. When you come in from a cold winter windsurf, had a great time, but I want to do it again the next day. This is what I do with my wetsuit to make sure it's ready to go the next day. Something like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's quite. And I guess that sort of would you say comes with experience in terms of being able to pick up these little things that are like maybe you've made a mistake on, and that's sort of like ruined your day. I know I definitely have a few, but like with the goggles, that sort of ruined your day, which then the more experienced you become, the more like receptive I guess you are to these.
And the right questions to be asked at the right time to spot the mistakes they haven't got, the mistakes that they don't yet. I don't know, someone's getting cold hands, or when they're out windsurfing and you might have a quick trick or a quick check, you might just go kind of, hold on a second, the forearm of that wetsuit, is it too tight? And therefore you're not getting blood to your fingers. And that's what's making you cold. And there's similar tricks for skiing. As soon as someone tells me their boots hurt, there's a couple of questions I'll know straight away that I've done 100 times, because it's like you say, through the experience of that's what's going wrong.
Yeah. Okay, nice. So you mentioned earlier that you're now training instructors, and the way you train instructors, how does that differ from the way you would coach like a client? Because I guess you're still teaching a skill. You're teaching someone how to teach, but how would you say that differs from teaching someone, a client that's come to you on the day?
Yeah. Well, I guess the nice thing about having an instructor is, or a potential instructor, is they're there for a reason. You've got that goal straight away, and it kind of links into that earlier question. Why are you here? What are you here to be coached? Well, I'm here to become a windsurf instructor. And if they're not qualified, they need to do X, Y, Z to get there. So we've got a pretty clear checklist of things we need to work through. And they're usually pretty motivated to get there because that's why they're there.
Yeah, they want to be there, don't they? So I guess that makes quite a big difference.
That's it. That's the big kind of winner from that one. Whereas generally the clients are in a holiday sort of environment or a relaxed sort of environment. They're not necessarily looking for a specific qualification or a specific goal. They're just generally, they're like, I'm here to make it social and have a good time. And if I do manage to get in the foot straps, get around my first carve jibe, do some carving, skiing turns, whatever it might be, then that's a bit of a bonus. But generally they're there to have a nice time and enjoy the environment. So you can make it's not stricter or less strict, because you still need to be relaxed with the potential instructors to get them to learn. But it's a different flow, isn't it? It's a much different environment when it's with holidaymakers and tourists rather than a potential instructor that you're then gonna how do I phrase it? I almost feel like when I qualify an instructor, I'm putting my stamp of approval on them, saying like they're good. And when someone gets a year's time or a few months time and they're saying, right, yeah, you just got qualified, cool, who did your course? And they say, oh, Cookie did it. And then a month later, they're ringing me up going, mate, who is this guy? What have you done to them? You know, I've taken responsibility for that person. So I do take a lot of ownership in the instructor courses, and a lot of pride in what we put out through it.
Nice, yeah. With the what do you look for when you're training a new instructor? What would you say are sort of like the key skills that you look for to be like, okay, yes, they're what I guess what I'm asking, what are the key skills that are the difference between an effective instructor and an ineffective instructor? What, in your opinion, what are those skills that make the difference?
I think the simplest answer is attitude. If someone comes to you, if someone comes to you with the right attitude, then we can give them the skills, we can train them, we can coach them, we can, whether the skills are the interpersonal skills, like, you know, how to teach and how to get your message across, whether it's the specific life hacks, coaching hacks, or the personal skills of getting better at the sport that we're then going to become an instructor in. If they come in with the right attitude, we're away. And actually, if I get a choice of team members, I'm always going to pick someone who's amazing, outgoing, fun, friendly, the right attitude, personality as well, kind of attitude, personality, even if they're not as qualified or as experienced as someone else, because I can give them the experience, I can train them and I can coach them through to get the experience. But actually training an attitude is quite hard.
I guess it's hard. Was sort of going to be my next question, but I guess it's hard to change someone's attitude and view towards what they're learning, I guess. You sort of mentioned sort of those interpersonal skills and those communication. I think that I agree with you, and I think that's the most important thing as an instructor, because at the end of the day, you're communicating knowledge across someone else. Is that like definitely like the key component which you think? And do you think you can improve that communication throughout the week? Do you purposely coach? Do you purposely teach skills that will improve that communication?
Oh, like how to communicate. Yeah. That's the presentation I do, is a presentation on how to do a presentation, and then we'll develop their presentation skills from that. But I think a presentation skill is different to an attitude skill. You know, someone that's just, you know, like just a bit down, a bit dull, a bit lazy, and, you know, doesn't really pay attention. That's an attitude. But then that person could jump up and deliver a good presentation. But that's not the person I want. I want someone that delivers a bad presentation, or it isn't quite right with the way their presentation fits together, but is the right person that can then be like, okay, tell me, like, I want to learn more, teach me how to become there, and sits there alert and ready and wants to get stuck into stuff.
So would you say there are some people that just will never be good instructors because they can like learn the skills, but they will be just because of what it's not to say they're a bad person or anything like that, but like that they will never be great instructors or coaches because they don't have that outgoingness that you kind of need? Or do you think you can learn that, but it's just harder for some than others?
No, and maybe I've used the wrong word, outgoing, because you can be an introvert and still be a very good instructor. So it doesn't need to be all flashy jazz hands, loud and in your face. Some very good instructors are actually very calm, very quiet, but they've got the right attitude to then get those messages across.
I guess sometimes being calm and quiet when it's blowing like an absolute hoolie is probably quite a nice thing, rather than someone being like in your face and adding more stress to it.
Yeah, I was scrolling through something, I can't remember, social media yesterday, and there was some post said, why are ski instructors always so calm? And all the responses are like, they're only calm when they need to be. You know, if you're standing on a cliff or a steep piece that you've never skied before, be that a steep for an intermediate, a steep for an advanced, everyone's got their different gradient of what is windy or not windy, or steep and not steep. But at that moment, you want someone calm and reassuring and just coaching you through it, not someone that's going, this is going to be amazing, and jazz hands in your face. It's too much. So no, like it's not about being an introvert or an extrovert, or it's just about being the right character that can be friendly to people, I suppose, and that wants people to learn and wants to be an instructor. And I think that's the attitude with it, is you do get people on instructor courses that aren't really sure why they're there. They just kind of got nudged into it and ended up doing it. And they often don't have any intention of actually being an instructor. They just want to get the ticket, or someone's told them you need to go and do the course. they're the hard ones that they're not actually sure why they're there, even though they're on an instructor course.
Yeah. Right. Okay. That does make sense. I guess sort of the skill comes from choosing your persona. I guess like your persona in that is reading the environment and choosing whether to go, jazz hands or calm. Would you say that's something you would actively teach on a trainer's course, like on a instructor course? Would you actively teach and be like, actually teach how to read the environment and the people in it, and sort of say, in these situations, you don't want to be doing jazz hands?
Yeah, big time. There's discussions that we have exactly like this. And a lot of the instructor courses, they start at the start of the week very led by the trainer. I'm leading and showing people how to act as a trainer, how to act as an instructor, and slowly handing that responsibility over to the students that I'm coaching. And so they've seen me go full power, loud, excited, and then calm it right down and change your voice and go this and that. And I mean, we've done enough training courses together, and I think there seems to be a smile as soon as I start talking, because people know I switch on this instructor voice.
Yeah.
But then being able to change that volume and change the pitch within that instructor voice is the skill. Not just have like, hey, this is me, this is what we're doing. It's like, actually, now's the time just to calm it down, possibly even sit down to eye level with the students and just have a little chat. And then there's another time that you need to jump up and be like, right, and this is the moment when I need you to do this and get really stuck into this and actually kind of pump them up a bit. Finding that right.
No, I guess that definitely makes sense. I think. Yeah, I think it's also like the best coaches are the ones who know when to do what. Like they know when to sort of like, they can read the person so much, that the client or the person they're coaching so much, that they can be like, okay, they just do need like a bit of boost of extra like enthusiasm, or you actually need them to be calm because they're sort of like so tense. So going back to the sports in general. Sorry,
I just kind of wanted, there was something we talked about in some training courses, was finding the right level of arousal, trying to get the right pitch of arousal to make it work. Like sometimes it is what you say, pump it up. Sometimes it's calm it down. And teaching out of Vass, the classic one, we've been out of Vass with advanced windsurfers, full power, let's go for this. And sometimes you're just like, stop. Everyone just the two of us, just sit down and drift. And we'll have a really calm conversation just for 5 minutes. We might drift 100 yards, maybe more. It doesn't matter. We're then going to get up. And after that little moment of, it's blowing, it's windy, it's really windy right now, but we're just chill, sitting on a board. We can calm our hearts down, we can calm our mind down, and then we can go again and pump it up. Yeah.
I guess it also centers the learner then back on you. So actually then you can, when you say feedback, it goes in rather than just like sort of like shouting from the bow, or even when if they're sitting down, if it's only for like a couple of seconds, their adrenaline's still going to be pumping. And so actually like making them break is a really useful skill, I guess, in terms of knowing when to like have those breaks in the session.
Windsurfing's a classic one. People just kind of chase a windsurfer along, screaming words at them. Half of the words might get through, half of them go straight over their head, half the time it's just white noise. So is that how we coach someone? Occasionally, yes, that one or two keywords being shouted whilst you're tailing someone, very useful. 9 times out of 10, I'll wait for that person to stop or turn or fall in, and they go, right, hold on, now you've fallen down for a second. Before you get up, this is your point. This is your working on. This is your goal. Let's go again.
Sweet. Yeah. So sort of maybe changing it slightly now, going back to like the sports themselves. Obviously the adventure sports themselves, they always involve like some risk. They're involving, or perceived risk, even if it's not actually that high. Yeah. The perceived risk is high. And they're, adrenaline fueled. You sort of have like, the extreme end, which is actually quite dangerous. And it's definitely completely different environment to traditional sports. How do you think the adventure sport itself, so when you're teaching, how much do you let the sport teach itself, if that makes sense? So obviously you're teaching the skill, but in terms of sort of skills around it, do you often just like find that in your sessions, you'll just let them ski because that's sort of what they need? Do you allow, or you sort of like, no, they need like feedback throughout the whole way through? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Well, practice makes permanent, not perfect.
Yeah.
is one thought, like you do need to practice, and with whatever sport it is, you need to give them a bit of an idea of what they're trying to do, whether that's a demo, an explanation, whatever, however you're going to make sure they understand the goal of what you're trying to get them to do. They need to give it a go and get some feedback from it, but they need to practice and keep giving it a go with enough of free reign that they're not just feeling like too claustrophobic and too contained by the coach or the instructor, but also not so far away that I see them constantly making the same mistake, or think they're getting something right and just getting it right or wrong and wrong and wrong and wrong, but like ingraining this wrong motion. But then coming back to me going, yeah, I think I'm there. And I'm like, nah, I've seen you wrong for 20 minutes. Or, the whole of the last 3 pieces or the last 10 carve jibes, it's too late. They've practiced it, and it's becoming ingrained. So again, it's, I guess, reading the room, but it's trying to work out how much space can I give them to practice and make some mistakes, but correcting them or giving that right nudge before it goes too far wrong.
Yeah. And actually, like you mentioned there, a great example is like the carve jibe. You'll see people come back and they'll be trying it for like 30 years and they're just like looking down the whole time. It's just like,
the same
it's so hard to get them out of that habit. Do you think the skills, the adventure sports, do you think they take what they learn in that adventure sport? So let's say it's like, time management or like the trainers. So like going back to you training instructors, do you think they take the skills that you teach them in terms of like communication, how to do a presentation, how to read the room? Do you think they then go and transfer them to other aspects of life? So, whether to work or school or, university.
I really like to think so,
Yeah.
You mentioned like time management, organization, presentation, as in my personal presentation, as well as the presentations I deliver. Just being able to speak. I remember like, public speaking wasn't something I was super comfortable with until I started doing these sports, and now put me in front of a room of people and give me half a topic to waffle on about, and I'm away. But it's not through just windsurfing or just biking or just sailing or whatever. It's through all these different sports combined, all these different opportunities to give it a go that then have made this sort of combined package that can then flick onto other sports. I'd feel pretty confident if I learned a new sport tomorrow and the day after, whatever sport it might be, that within a certain amount of time of learning that sport, I could then go, right, someone else needs to learn this. I can pick up some points and I can come across with some confidence and give some ideas of how to do this thing through teaching other sports.
Yeah. No, I think it definitely teaches you a lot in terms of, I think you learn a lot about yourself doing these sports as well, because it sort of pushes you into places that you wouldn't normally necessarily go to. Like, it gives you a lot of, I know definitely with windsurfing, I've been in situations where it's like, I have to get out of this, and there's like no easy option. You just have to like plow through. And I think maybe it's probably the same with like, once you start going down like a black slope, there's no like exit out of it. You sort of have to get down there. I think that then teaches you a lot about yourself in that moment. Sort of, do you see people change? Like, you've obviously worked seasons for a long time in management roles and stuff. Do you see people change and develop into, as like over time through what you're teaching? Is that like an active goal of yours to sort of make people, I don't want to say like a better person, but like a better instructor? Is that like an active goal?
It is 100%. Like, and I think, better person sounds maybe too righteous, but it is that.
Yeah.
A team of people that come to me and I want to make them the best version of themselves that they can be. Be that, presentation, having pride of turning up to work looking ready to go, or turning up on a beach or on the snow ready to go. Like, I'm your instructor, I'm here, and I don't look like I've been out the night before, even though secretly you might have been. Like, that's just the pride of like, you can do both. Like, you just need to be ready and looking good, and that way the students that you've got are going to listen to you. The whole punctuality, the presentation, everything. Like, I want everyone that comes to me, whether it's for a week or for a month or a full season or whatever I get these people with, I want them to leave going, I've got a lot to take away from this week. And it's not just specifically on that sport. It's everything that's kind of built together. And just kind of like this conversation, we can roll this in different directions. I find that happens quite a lot on the instructor training courses. I turn up with a session plan for the next hour, and through something that I've picked up on amongst us, we've kind of gone, right, hold on. That was plan A. I'm going to park that till later, and we're going to have a little chat about this, because that's a missing bit of knowledge or a bit of skill or a bit of something that we need to go through. And that'll just make the whole week run easier because we've discussed whatever missing knowledge gap it might be.
Yeah, I think the sports themselves as well, like, and then seasons, once they finish the season and stuff, do you then believe that all the skills they learn from that they can easily transfer? Do you think they transfer into like outer life? So like, if let's say they go to they're suddenly working in big business and they have to do like a board presentation. Do you think it's an easy transfer from standing in front of a load of holidays to then they transfer those skills into like maybe something that's even more of a high stress environment that is quite? Do you think that's an easy transfer of skills across, or do you reckon it takes a bit of work to?
I think it's quite easy, and I've seen it a number of times. A number of my guys have come through, and now they're working, in the city in suits, doing various different things. But they got so used to standing in front of a bunch of people who, let's use like the holiday windsurfing environment, generally younger than mid-20s windsurfers teaching a bunch of 35 to 50-year-old business people who are very well educated, wealthy enough to go windsurfing because it's not a cheap person sport, let's be honest. But then they've got this 20-something-year-old mildly educated person going, what am I going to do? And over the course of a week, a season, a month, whatever, they then come out the shell enough that they can stand there and go, listen to me, I'm right. I do know about the weather pattern. I do know about how a sail works. I can teach you about fins as well as all the technique, but the theory side of it too. And have the confidence to say to someone in a different walk of life to what they're used to, like, this is what you need to know and this is how it is. And whether that's standing in front of a blackboard with some chalk going, this is a weather front, or standing in a boardroom saying this is the forecasted weather, the forecasted income results for the next quarterly, or whatever it might be. You've got that confidence to stand up in front of people and go, I know how to deliver a presentation. You need to listen to me and own that room.
Huge. I guess actually it allows them to practice it in a fairly low consequence environment. If you like get the weather front slightly wrong, it's not the end of the world because they're on holiday, it's in a nice place, and you can go back and correct yourself, and it's not like it's not like the end of the world. But I guess it it's a really nice backdrop for them to learn these skills and then transfer them across. Again, I keep going back to the sort of like training instructors, because to me that's sort of the most interesting bit. You're teaching people how to teach. I think it's quite a cool, it's quite an important thing to do and to grow our sports and make people enjoy more. Sort of in the teaching structure, in the national government body structure, would you say there is enough? Is it part of the skill set for the instructors to have these communication skills? Is that included in what you should do, or is that just your personal belief so you add it in? Does that make?
Yeah, no, it is part of the syllabus that we're taught to teach. It's definitely something, planning presentations and presenting on how to present is part of the core syllabus that's given to the students by all the trainers, not just me. No, that's 100% in there. And that's the same with the windsurfing is the RAA, of course. With skiing, I was trained through Bassett, and it's the same sort of thing. Is like, how do you actually teach, and various different like flow patterns and charts that you can go through to say like this is a good structure that works on to get someone to get to where you want them to go.
Do you think there's enough in there of that, or do you think there could be potentially more, or do you think there's too much? Do you think they have sort of enough?
It's difficult to answer because I think there's always room for more. And the more years I do, the more I learn. But then we also want to get people into the sport. And with windsurfing, for example, someone can go from never ever windsurfed before to a qualified instructor within 6 weeks. That's quite a short space of time.
That's really short.
It's really short, and they're still at the end of that 6 weeks. They've learned a lot, but it's been so intense, and there's a lot going on that how much has actually sunk in. It doesn't mean they're going to be bad instructors, but there's definitely more in there. But I don't think we should stretch it any more than that. Actually, the instructor course is only 1 week. You can turn up as a reasonable windsurfer, not yet in the foot straps, and you can do a 1 week instructor course and be qualified, providing, of course, you've done your first aid, your powerboat, your safe and fun, these other things. But basically, it's a 1 week training exam week, which isn't a lot. but we need
No.
instructors to get in the industry, and we want the industry to grow. So if we made it harder and harder, it's not going to help grow anything.
Yeah. No, it's not.
But I guess part of what I definitely put across when I'm doing the instructor training courses, and I know the other trainers do, is this, like, let's say it's the final day, you've got your results, everyone's passed, congratulations, everyone. This is the end of this first 5 days. This is the start of your instructor training career. This isn't like you're qualified, I've got a ticket, off I go and skip down the road and start it. Like you now have a senior instructor training you non-stop. You're going to be working at a school with a senior instructor and high level instructors. Whether it's open books, opening YouTubes and videos, or just drilling into the other instructors that are more experienced around you, I'm putting that to the instructors that are newly qualified of go and get stuck in. This is the start. You're now just opening the book of becoming an instructor. You've got so much more to learn that I haven't got time to give you in 5 days.
Yeah. And I suppose that, again, like that's one of the key things of being an instructor is being able to sort of like those intrapersonal skills. So looking at yourself and being able to assess what you did right and wrong. I'm guessing, like, do you believe in that, and the fact that there's no sort of ceiling in terms of like, I'm a brilliant instructor, I don't need to learn anymore? Do you find yourself always learning new stuff, either from your clients or from different instructors? And do you find, like, do you believe in,
Oh, I mean, you messaged about doing this chat, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds really interesting. There's something from this that I can take away and go, that's a really nice, interesting idea. I think every time I see other instructors working around beaches, around the mountains, I'm spotting stuff, and I'm kind of going, that's a new idea. That's a good idea. Whether it's looking for the positives or actually like, okay, I tried that, it failed, I probably won't use that again.
Yeah.
You learn from your failures as well as you can learn from your positives. And like never stop learning, and you can't just hang it up and be like, I'm done now, this is as good as I'm going to get. Like, there's new tricks all the time.
Yeah, I think that's what makes adventure sports so good as well, is there's always like a next step, and it's quite an obvious next step. It's not like, it's not like your tennis serve's getting better. It's like there'll be like a next move. It'll be like, I can now do a red pretty well. The next step is a black. And I think sort of that's what makes it adventure sports so good, is that the fact that there's always like a clear next step, which is, I don't know, for me, that is why I think I love it so much, because like, learn the Vulcan, and the Vulcan turns into like Spock, and then there's always like an obvious next step, which I think is why it's so good, I guess.
It's interesting because with windsurfing, I think you're right, there's always the next bit. With skiing, I find a lot of people that they hit a point with their skiing where they can ski or snowboard down a black-ish, and they're fine, and then they don't want any more coaching. There isn't really a next step. They're just on holiday and they just want to go blasting around. And those are the lessons I quite like, because, I get these people come out and they've just got 2 or 3 sessions with me, and they're like, like, I'm at this point, and actually we need to go back to some basics and then rebuild. No, let's phrase this right. We need to get your foundation stronger so we can then start building this higher tower of your skiing skills, because the skill will only work up to a point. And then when you get different conditions, different terrain, different visibility, different snow feelings, then it just doesn't work. It does hit the point where it doesn't happen anymore. And maybe windsurfers, I think, are the same with that. Like, there's always the next skill to learn, but actually it might just be that carve jab you can do on perfect flat water. But can you do it in knee-deep chop? Can you do it down the face of a wave? Can you actually keep both feet in the strap and jibe around, flick the rig, and then ride out switch just to get over the wave before you then make the change? Like, it's kind of obvious the next step, but then actually getting that idea and moving it to something else is quite a good skill of how to learn the next bit. That's the instructor. That's us putting it across the student of like, great, you can do that version. Can you do this version?
I suppose it's like small little building steps, isn't it, towards then the next big thing, which then keeps them interested in it because they're achievable. It's not like you're going from one massive move to the next. So I think sort of to draw it to an end, if you guys choose like 4 skills in terms of, like presentation, communication, if you choose 4, which would you say are the most important to becoming a good coach, what would you say those 4 are? Like, to someone who's like completely brand new, just giving you 4 stuff, or it can be 3, but we'll do 4. What would those skills be?
Okay. Find your instructor voice. As in, you need to be able to, like, when you're talking to your mate, you can slur, you can slang, you can break it down, whatever you want. You can you can use your accent if you like. But when you're presenting to a group, you need to be able to be loud enough without shouting, clear enough without being patronizing, as in the way you're spoken, but then also being able to break down the words and the sentences so it's like easily comprehensible.
Yeah.
That's one. Number two, which I kind of touched on there actually, but like loud enough without shouting, I think is quite important. You know, and it is a fine line between just screaming at someone or projecting your voice. And you mentioned actually about like, do we do this during instructor courses? A number of times, especially on start windsurf instructor courses, people can't be heard when we're standing around with 6 people in the shallows. There's splashing water, there's boards going around, we can't hear each other. So a number of times I've actually stopped whatever exercise we're doing, spread everyone out, and I've instigated random conversations about what they had for breakfast, what they're doing at lunchtime, where they're going that evening. Tell us about your horses back home, whatever it might be, but it needs to be projected across the beach that doesn't sound harsh and shouting, but is loud enough to be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And both of these are teachable skills, of course. You know, it's not something you can't teach. Next point would be the knowledge of the sport, I think.
Yeah.
Which goes without saying, but you need to know your sport and like well enough to be able to pass it on. If you're not sure about sport, are we really going to be a good enough instructor that's there going like, I'm not really sure, I need to find out stuff. And there's nothing wrong with not knowing. You know, you get asked questions sometimes, you're like, put a pin in that, I'll come back to that. Not just hold on that one, I'll come back to it at the right moment. But being able to know the sport well enough to be able to teach to the level you're at or the level you're teaching at.
Yeah. And I think sort of that is one of the key differences between an adventure sports coach and just like a normal sports coach, is that an adventure sports coach has to be able to physically do the sport, participate in the sport in a higher level than what they're teaching. Whereas like a football coach will be on the sidelines. Obviously he's got to have a different knowledge of the sport, but he'll never like jump on the pitch and be like, oh, this is actually how you need to do it, you know, because the players he's playing with will be better. And I think that is a really important thing, especially for adventure sports coaches, to be able to do the sport at a high level than what you're teaching, just for safety reasons as well as beyond. So do you disagree? Do you agree? Or
well, there's a lot of points where you don't need to be. So like it depends on the level you're coaching at. For example, when you're teaching or coaching high level skiing and ski racing, you'd expect the coach at one point to have been very good, but not necessarily anymore. And then very quickly they'll be teaching kids, adults way above their level. They can't keep up with them anymore, but they don't need to because they're standing at the bottom of the ski run training them. And football, like, you know, completely mainstream sport played on a football pitch, but when they're teaching the kids, the coach probably needs to teach them how to kick a ball and probably needs to be pretty good at kicking a ball and will probably be better than those kids. Whereas then you get to a higher level and suddenly those kids, becomes teenagers, becomes adults, and they will become physically fitter and better than the coach at doing it. Windsurfing, you know, all of the higher level windsurfing, there's no way the coaches are better than the athletes. Otherwise they'd be an athlete. And maybe actually I've kind of answered my own question there. Maybe when it gets to the competitive level, you wouldn't expect the coach to be higher than maybe that's the way I should have framed that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because obviously then, like, let's say you're training for the Olympics, if the coach is better than the Olympian, then they'd be in the Olympics. But I think on general, for, you know, like for most of your clients, I think having that deep knowledge of the sport comes from you being at a very high level personally. Do you reckon? Do you think that's where the knowledge comes from?
Yeah. From you, and experience. There's those years of getting it wrong, getting it right. You know, the experience comes through, and the experience shines through when you get odd questions posed at you or strange things going on with those sessions. Just the experience of being able to answer it correctly or smoothly, or park it to one side and come back to it.
Anyway, we've gone off on a tangent, but it was quite interesting. So you've done, was it three skills now?
I've done 3 skills. Last one.
Yeah.
I think coaching, teaching, all of these positions of authority, all of these positions of respect where you're leading a room and taking control of situations, come with a simple bit of personal presentation and timekeeping. You know, those two to me kind of go hand in hand. Like you expect people to be there on time and looking smart and looking ready to go. And I think that's something that hopefully I can't speak. That's something I've prided myself in over the years, is I'm always the first one in, I'm ready to go, and I'm looking reasonably respectable. I can't change all of this, but I can make it look as best as it can. And I think that's quite key. And that's definitely something that comes through with instructor training courses and the teams that you and I have worked together on, is like, come on, we need to be here on time. We need to be looking ready to go.
Yeah. Sweet. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty good. It's great. I guess.
What have you got? What did I miss?
I mean, to sort of sum it up, I guess you like clear communication, I think, is an obvious one in terms of what you can expect. And you said that with, like, you know, shouting and not shouting but being clear. I think that is really important, because then also you're more approachable, aren't you? If someone's like shouting at you as being like back in school, and you're a bit like, oh, I don't really want to work with this guy. But I think one of the most important, from, you know, my more limited experience, is being able to read, and you said it quite a few times throughout sort of this chat, and being able to read the room. I think that is probably, for me, it's up there. And I think, and you've mentioned it lots, is being able to know when to be sort of like super in your face, when to use what skill where, when to sort of bring these practicing, and actually having that sort of in research, they touch on it, like emotional intelligence, being able to read someone's emotions and being like, is this the time that they need to push, or is this the time that we just need to back off? I think, yeah, you sort of said it throughout the whole thing, but that I think is really important.
Not everyone needs jazz hands in their face. Some people need a quiet moment, possibly even a hug now and then.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I think sometimes in adventure sports is knowing when to be like, okay, like we're done because of one thing or another, and, you know, either the conditions have changed, or maybe they've just gotten to such a stressful state that whatever I mean, you've probably had more experience in this, especially on the mountain. I don't know, have you ever any like clients where they've gone to such a stressful state that you are actually, whatever I'm saying now is just not going to go in? So you sort of had to like bring that back.
Yeah, I mean that's the skill of the ski instructor or snowboard instructor, is not getting them quite that far, or not taking them to a place that's quite that far. Where I've seen it on the mountain more than I've been involved in it, and stepped in to help other people that have taken their mates somewhere because they're like, you can do this, come on, let's go, and they're just like meltdown central. Like generally the worst meltdowns that I have with students are actually on the beginner nursery slopes, and they've been pushed into learning to ski by someone, a friend, a family member, or whatever. And once they start getting the hang of something from the nursery beginner flat slopes, then I can pitch it correctly from there. But the biggest sort of freeze moment generally for me with students is on the easiest slopes, when they don't know what's going on at all.
So I think reading the room is really, and again, you said it throughout the whole thing, is quite an important thing. I mean, I have no other questions, but if you've got anything to add.
No, that's all good. Well, thanks for having me here today. Like I said, this is like the sort of chats that I'm hopefully going to have with a lot of the starboard team riders throughout the summer, which is going to be released on this YouTube channel, as well as the Starboard podcast, which I think is going out on Spotify, but I'll be posting that everywhere soon enough anyway. I think there's quite a lot to take away from that.
No, thank you very much. That was very insightful. That was really good.
Nice one. Thanks, Sam. We'll speak again soon.